So last episode I just dealt with the cave spores problem on my planet, and I've also gotten some more traditions and technologies and continue to scout out my surrounding area. So starting off this episode, I'm going to go ahead and get a research labs. But what I will want to consider is that if I get this research labs, I'll have more jobs than I do housing, so I'll want to get some housing from a city district. So I'll go ahead and build these research labs, but after that finishes, I'll consider switching over and building a city district. First contact event pending. I've met the Tianki space whales, and that gives me some frequency tuning research and some influence, which is really, I love the influence. Give me all the influence. All right, an election is underway. There's a 25% chance that one of these four people will make it in. This person is the person that I started the game with. So I wouldn't be losing anyone else, but all of these, this is one of my scientists, another one of my scientists. So if any of these other people win, I'd lose a scientist, and now I'd have a empty slot, and I have to buy a new scientist. So buying a new scientist will cost 200 unity, and they'll be a low level. I'll lose one of my high level scientists that I really want. So it's valuable to me at this point to actually sway the vote in my favor. So I'm going to support the president that's already in place and hope that I get a re-election for the same person so that I don't have to pay for a scientist later. So I'm going to click support, and now that's 40% chance. I'm willing to take those odds. It's slightly better, and I'm not paying more. But that maybe will shift it to not take away one of my scientists. So it's important to know about the elections. It's a little bit extra to deal with. Ruined worlds. There's a bunch of tomb worlds here. These are going to be completely uninhabitable for a long time. So interesting, but not that big of a deal. Oh, another encounter. Always pause the game and check out what you see. Okay, this is a crystalline entity. Anyhow, these tend to be hostile, but this might just be a colonizing one. So that's important because it tells me I'm going to probably need my military fleet soon to be ready to go take this out. All right, new ruler elected. And it is... Okay, I got it. I supported them, and I actually got the same person in office. So that was definitely worth it. Now I don't have to reassign any scientists and get a new scientist. Afterburners are a thing you can put on your ship to make them go faster and get more evasion. Invasion is pretty good because that means your ships are less likely to be hit. And faster is huge because they can be where you need them to be quicker. So afterburners are decent, but also, again, I need energy for these. These cost a lot of energy or power. And then there's mining station output. Again, I already got the last one, but that's going to make it even better. Or there's carrier operations. The reason carrier operation, normally I have no real way of getting hangar bays apart from on star bases. I'm not going to have ships that have hangar bays, but the reason I like hangar bays is that military power on star bases allows you to deal with piracy. Simply put, when you have a trade route between two star bases, I don't have a second one, but say I had one up here, you have to ship trade value, and pirates will try to steal the trade value. And missile bays and gun batteries only give you +5 trade protection. So each one of these will protect 5 trade value. So you'd have to have a lot more gun batteries or missile batteries than you would hangar bays, because hangar bays provide you 10. I prefer hangar bays over gun batteries or missile batteries. So that's a good pick. I know I will be having a lot of trade value, so I definitely will want these eventually. But I think I'll go for mineral station output and delay this until I see it again. But next time I see this, I'm going to get it probably. All right, new tradition. So courier network reduces empire size. I haven't gotten any penalty, but I'm really close. Like one new system and one new planet or a couple new districts are going to push me over this. And I'm going to start getting a debuff. So this will put me back and save me a little bit. Starbase upkeep, which is pretty much just this. It dropped just a tiny bit of minerals. This is good long term, but I don't need it now. Pop growth speed is really good though. Getting pop growth speed earlier is better. So really, to me, it's between research alternatives or pop growth speed. I think I'll go pop growth speed, then research alternatives. because pop growth speed, if you want to see all of the modifiers that are affecting your empire, you can go to demographics. You can see 20% pop growth speed. And I have a new society research. Okay. Ocean ecology management, 3 toxic kelp blockers that I have across my planets. I do not need to get blockers right away. These planets have tons of room to grow before I need to worry about clearing them. So that's not valuable to me. Ground defense planning. This allows me to get naval capacity from this building, the stronghold building, which is pretty nice because the only other real big way to get naval capacity is from starbases, and that's anchorages. So that's pretty nice to have a planetary form of naval capacity. But again, I don't expect to get into any early wars unless I end up with a genocidal empire nearby. So this one's good, but I can delay it. Edicts Fund. Would there be any edicts I'd want? I don't need to encourage political thought because all of my pops already have the exact same ethic as me, so there's really no reason to get that. Capacity subsidies, I don't need it, and it would push me over my edicts fund. I like Map the Stars. Fortify the Border could be good. I think edicts fund at this point is useful because it also unlocks covert operations that could be useful in the future. And this person's already statecraft, so this is the only one that's also statecraft, so this will be faster. So I'm going edicts fund. After this colony ship finishes, I'm gonna slap out 1 more corvette. Once you hit 5 pops on a planet, then you won't be able to have the colony designation, and the colony designation is good because of the stability, amenities, and happiness. So this planet, and if it's automatic, the game will decide what it thinks is the best pick. So right now it's said, oh, you already have 2 mining districts on it, so you must want a mining planet, which is correct. I do want this to be a mining planet, so I'm going to force it to be a mining world. I just like that for personal management. I don't like the automatic, because sometimes it might, like, I build something else and it automatically switches it off. So what this does is miner and strategic gatherer outputs. So this planet is going to get a huge bonus to all of those jobs. All right. So we have now had our first faction formed. This happens some years into the game. So I'm going to open up the factions page, and basically factions subscribe to a certain ethic. Each faction has an ethic that they go towards, and you have your pops actually belong to that faction, and they have demands or issues, things that they want your empire to be. So this faction wants my empire to have democratic elections, which I have because I'm a democracy. So I'm getting 10% approval, and then they want free movement. So here, this is where policies become important. Here they want resettlement to be prohibited. They don't want pops to be forcefully resettled between planets. So I can't click this resettle button. So I'm giving up some control over my population for happiness in my factions. That's why it's worth it. Reproductive freedoms, again, I can't prohibit any kind. They have to be allowed. Everyone has to have the freedom to populate as they wish, which I already have set. And then anti-stratification, this is basically, they'll be unhappy with me if I were to set species rights, change their living standards to stratified economy. And living standards are, it changes what pops need, but it also gives certain bonuses. So like this would mean that every single pop in my entire empire will cost 1, or you can do this by species. So every single pop that's of this species, I should say, not every in the empire. Right now this is the only species I have, so it would be every in the empire, but would cost 1 consumer goods, but they'll be super happy. And unemployed pops will not have a decrease in happiness, and they'll actually provide unity and research. So utopian abundance can be really good for basically, this is why I don't need the idealistic foundation forever. And we'll eventually want to get rid of it. And then they want a benevolent subjugation policy. So I can set that here, and I'll set that to benevolent. That's totally fine. This just means that the initial terms for subjugation are much better for the subject. So if I were to go to war to subjugate someone, that's the only time this would really apply, which I probably won't even go to war to subjugate anyone, so won't really affect me. And that gives 80% approval. And this means that every pop that's a part of this faction, which is 30 pops, so a huge part of my empire, has 10% happiness. So these worlds are going to be a lot happier. You can see which member of the individual choice coalition faction. So it's important to keep your factions happy. And also, you get unity. It's not a lot, but look, in this stage in the game, I doubled my unity from that faction. Later on in the game, it's not that big of a deal, but that's a huge boost to unity right now. Some things you can do to mitigate this is if you have other species than your home, you can't have, you can set citizenship and residents. They don't have as much political power, so basically they'll be less happy, but they'll use less amenities, which is nice if you have worlds that are struggling with amenities, and they won't contribute as much to factions, so they'll keep factions smaller if they're just residents. Citizens have more political weight in factions. But I'm xenophile, so probably will have everyone have full citizenship. But this is more for if you're a more authoritarian or xenophobe empire. And then you can just outright enslave them, then they'll have like no political power. I don't like slaves. Slaves are kind of like robots. They can't work. They can only do worker jobs. So, and I love specialist jobs, so that's a huge penalty. Ooh, that's more Tomb Worlds. There's so many Tomb Worlds this way. I don't care about Tomb Worlds. I'm never gonna settle them.
Construction completed.
Or not never. I probably won't settle them for a long time because Tomb Worlds, you have to look at that 10%. Look at that minus 45% resources from jobs and minus 45% pop growth speed. So this would be a very bad planet to settle. The only reason it has any viability is because of the my adaptive trait. You can terraform Tomb Worlds eventually, but that's going to be a ways out. So these planets are going to be really nice because look at the size. It's 21, 21, 11, 19, and 12. If I can terraform all of those, that's going to be a lot of really nice planets.
Evasive maneuvers.
And this is important information. There's a hostile fleet here.
System.
When you meet hostiles, your science ship is automatically on evasive. So this means they'll automatically just leave when they can. So these are more of the crystals that I saw earlier. So I will eventually have to deal with them, but I can't yet because my ship is weak. So this guy's going to leave. So this science ship will leave. And once they leave, they like disable all of their orders. So it's important to reassign them to do stuff when that happens. Oh, and Horizon has reached 5 pops. And it detected, hey, you have research labs here. You probably want a research planet, which is correct. That was what I was trying to do. Sometimes it won't get it right. Sometimes you'll have like a generator district and it'll put rural world, even though you wanted a generator world. So that's why I like to set it myself, because sometimes it'll switch it off. But I do want a tech world here. And right now I've run out of housing. So I'm going to build a city district so that I deal with that housing problem. Ooh, another continental world. That's huge. I'm considering getting a second construction ship because say I finished this and if I were to like wanted to send my science or my construction ship to get this system, it's gonna have to move all the way here, and that's probably gonna take like and click here. That's gonna take over a year to actually get there. It's valuable to get to, not because you're actually going to be simultaneously constructing two, because you might not have the influence to actually build, but sending your science ship all the way over here, then all the way back over here, then all the way back over here can be a waste of time. So I like to have a construction ship just ready to go, and even if it's not actively doing anything, it's just sitting there so it doesn't have to fly across the entire empire. So it waits its turn. So I like to have 2 or 3 for that reason. And then I'm going to grab 2 more corvettes. And I want this black hole. I'm going to move here, but I'm not actually going to build it yet. I want to get the worlds first. I think this one often kills your scientists, so I'm just going to study it from afar. All right, so we have an option. These crystals, we could, if we do we can learn to coexist. We'll get influence, and we'll get a situation log that allows us to not have them be hostile, which is really useful because that means I could get this system without actually needing to attack them with my military ships. So I'm going to do this we can learn to coexist, particularly since we're xenophiles, so that's nice. So this is going to take a very long time, and I don't need to do it right now. So I'll wait until I have more physics research before I wait to do that. Once I need it, I'll do that. But it's nice to know that at some point I can make these be friendly. And another tradition. So what next? I'm going research alternatives. I said I'd do that, and I want to do that. Okay, there's more exotic gases here. So I have a lot of exotic gases because I have some from potentially from mining from nebula, I have some from here. I have some from here. So I currently have, oh, and also from my planet, I have some from here. I currently have a good amount of exotic gases. And I have a tiny bit of volatile motes, but I have no rare crystals yet. So I want to keep a lookout for rare crystals. If I can get rare crystals, that would be a big boon. That way I have a little bit of everything. And I'm going to move this guy down here. Oh, actually, I should check. Okay, good. An important thing to know, you can't colonize planets that have an anomaly. I was hoping that this level 10 anomaly would not be on this planet, because then I couldn't colonize it, but I do want to colonize it. So, oh, and I found more volatile motes. Where is that? That's here. Sweet. So this system's even more valuable. Now I just need rare crystals. Yeah. Oh, and here's an interesting thing. Look, my empire size has reached 109, which means that technology cost is just a fraction a bit more, and tradition adoption cost is just a little bit more. So you can see these are already starting to, it's instead of 2000, it's 2018. And another encounter. Let's see what this is. What is this encounter then? I don't actually see any ships here, so I don't know where you're getting contact from. I don't see anything here, so maybe they just popped in and then popped right back out or something. I'm not sure about that. This could be my first new empire. I'll meet my first neighbors, so that's kind of a big deal, because that really dictates. Oh yeah, okay, they are coming in. This is another empire, and if they're hostile, they might kill this scientist, and that means that I want to spend all of my influence going for the Peace system, because I really want that system, and I don't want them to get it first. Hopefully they're friendly. I'm gonna go administrative AI, because it's a boost to all of my research. And I have met my physicist finally. That was such a long time. This guy has been gone for like almost a decade. Greetings and salutations, President. I take it this is not a social call. What is the meaning of this? I take it you are referring to my disappearance from the United Nations of Earth space. I needed some time away, is all. Well, rather, I'm looking for the window, and the window is certainly not there. It is not here either. I must continue my search. I will not be bringing these drones I found, though. Yeah, we can assign ships to escort you home. I have no interest in returning home at present, but please, as a token of my goodwill, take these drones, a donation to the United Nations of Earth. I found them drifting on the outskirts of the system, and only after extensive repairs did I realize that they are utterly unfit to function as research probes. This conversation is over. Wanderless, the drones. The chair has vanished inexplicably yet again. However, they did leave a number of drones behind, as promised. The drones are armed, and their weapons are powering... Oh my gosh! This guy is so annoying. Battle stations.
Evasive maneuvers.
What an idiot. Oh my gosh. I really don't like that guy. I guess I'm going to have to send my military fleet. I'll be able to deal with it. What I'm going to do is... I have my military fleet. I'm going to go ahead and recruit an admiral. I don't like unyielding. So combat disengagement chance means that whenever a ship runs out of hit points, or is close to running out of hit points, they have a chance to say, nope, I'm out of here, and then they retreat and disappear from the battle. But when the battle finishes, they survive. That means that they're more likely to actually die when they run out of hit points than they are to just retreat when they run out of hit points. So I really do not like unyielding. Yes, it gives you more hull points and more damage, but it's not worth... I like being able to have my ships survive combat. That's worth it to me. But I'm going to go adaptive, because longer term this will give me better traits. When you're sending your military ships, and say if I were to go into the system and click on the thing to send an attack order, sometimes that'll happen where if you do an attack order far away, this will like disappear and you'll lose contact with it. I have the starbase here so I can actually see it. Just clicking on a move order instead of an attack order, but click the move order near where they are. That way you won't have the order like disengage, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm checking out something over here and I'm doing this thing, and then I'll realize my military fleet has spent 2 years just stationary because it lost track of where it was, what it was trying to attack.
Updated.
And mysterious spacefarers, I've learned just a tad bit more about them. So my military vessels are one thing to check before you ever engage in combat. Right here, let me find it. Here, look. Always check for these little, before you engage combat in a system. Like this system right here, if I were to fight my energy shields will do nothing for me, which is such a bad disbenefit to fight. So it's important to think about, like, here, I don't want anything that has extra shields, and I want to fight things that have a lot of shields here, and then focus on armor. So it's just important to know that's going to affect your combat in some systems. Black holes, right here, they have disengagement chance reduction, which I just talked about, and emergency FDL cooldown. So basically, black holes are really hard to retreat from, so you're going to have a lot of casualties if you fight in a black hole. So if you can get the edge on your enemy and know you're going to win, you can deal a really devastating blow to them at a black hole. But if you're weaker and you lose the battle, you're going to take a lot more casualties. So the battles are more decisive in black holes and can really change the matter of war. So it's important to check before you're about to go into combat what the fighting terrain is like. What is that? What is that star system? How is that affecting things? The other thing is that star bases, and you won't always know, but like communications jammer will make it more likely to kill ships. So that's why this can be really useful, that you can, if they fight in your territory, you can guarantee that you kill more of them fighting defensively. So that's communications jammer is really nice. It also slows them down so you have more time to deal with them. And disruption field generator reduces their shield hit points. So you can force those kind of effects from these star things as well to some degree. So let's watch this combat. This is going to be a clear and easy victory, I guarantee it.
Engaging hostile forces.
The drones are destroyed. The IFF modules have been removed, likely as a result of the head physicist repair, but their threat assessment processors remained intact and somewhat stressed by the head's invasive procedures. It is unlikely that the head meant for the drones to attack us, but the fact remains that they covered the scientists' escape nicely. Consult the situation log for a special project to track the head from their last known location. We didn't lose a single ship in that combat. They didn't even take any damage. Here, I now know that I have very dangerous crystals. This is why I want to pacify them, because this system would take me a long time to build up the strength to actually deal with. An important thing to note, you can do this button right here. That will restrict the system. Your fleets will not enter this, particularly military. The science ships are set to evasive, so they'll automatically never enter the system. But if you set them to passive, they can. So it's important to know that. And then military ships are always set to like be able to engage. So you might have a military ship decide, oh yeah, this is a good system to go through, and then it'll get destroyed. So that's why you want to restrict systems. Once the research speed finishes, I'll probably do the pacification. See, I'm starting to run low on energy credits because I'm building a lot of stuff willy-nilly without really thinking about it. So it's important to think about that. I'm going to focus on energy credits to try and stave off that, but eventually I'm going to need a generator district. Mineral purification is really nice because that means this planet will be even better. Every mineral job on this planet will be one more than it already is. So I'm going to go mining subsidies that are the mineral purification. This one's really good. And Empire Side, look, it's already at 2%. It was only at like 1% now. So this is already starting to become a pretty big deal. All right, I'm going to call the episode there. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. And if I finish the next episode, you should see it on screen about now. All right, bye.